7 units and a guaranteed featured SSR. Should you summon for Dragon Ball Heroes? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are answering that age-old question. We have a new banner on the way, this year's Super Dragonball Heroes Crossover campaign summon, and we gotta know, is it worth your hard-earned stones? As always, in order to answer this question, we take a look at 3 major factors. Number 1, we're going to take a look at the units themselves. Then we're going to take a look at the banner, everyone who's on the banner, and tell if that sort of justifies the summon, right? Is what you could possibly pull worth the overall investment? And then finally, we'll take one last look at what lies ahead for the rest of the year and determine, you know, if we summon here, what are we giving up elsewhere, and is it worth it? So first and foremost, let's go ahead, let's hop into the main featured units, the Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Vegito and the Super Saiyan 3 Rose. Both these guys are pretty good. After doing a little bit of testing with them and seeing what they can do, they are phenomenal. Probably some of the best Dragon Ball Heroes units we've had in quite some time. So we'll just focus on these two. We're not going to go through every unit on the banner because we'll be here all night. But they are Dragon Ball Heroes Giant 8 Power and Fused Fighter for the Vegito on his 170 lead with an additional 32 crossover. He has an insurance animation that activates on entry and has a chance of performing a critical hit and reduces damage received by 30% for 6 turns. After that, he gets Key 3, attack and defense 200%. He also has an additional 150% when performing a super attack. He also gets an additional 100% and great chance of launching an additional attack when there's another Giant 8 Power or crossover category ally attacking in the same turn, or a Giant 8 Power or crossover enemy. So it's just like it's like the Limit Breaker 4s from last year, but better, right? Because you just need one other one on the rotation to get the full passive. He also has a chance of performing a critical hit 40% and reduces damage received by 30% when all allies are Giant 8 Power or crossover. So now this is the part that's like the Limit Breaker 4s from last year, right? You get 40% crits and 30% damage reduction extra, making a total of 60% when on a full Giant 8 Power or full crossover rotation. So very, very good effect. This dude tanks hits from every major boss in the game with that 60% damage reduction. He also has an active skill that can be activated when all allies are crossover. So he can only do this active skill on a crossover team starting from the 3rd turn. Or if it's after the 6th turn, he can do it on any team. But realistically, you know, for most events currently, 6 turns probably not happening. If so, it's like the very last thing you're doing, right? But that active skill does raise his attack temporarily, cause ultimate damage, and within the turn activated, all attacks become crit. So definitely a unit you want to focus on additionals for, since he's got a lot of built-in crit. But he looks really good. He's pretty amazing, easily right within the top 10. Honestly, for a Dragon Ball Heroes unit, I would definitely place him in the top 10, to be completely honest. He's really, really good. Looking at his counterpart, the Crimson Masked Saiyan Super Saiyan 3 Rose, he has Dragon Ball Heroes Super Saiyan 3 Transformation Boost, category Key 3, attack defense 170, and 30% to the crossover category. He gets Key 3, attack and defense 180%. He has an additional 150 when attacking. He has a high chance of guarding all attacks. He also has an additional defense 100% and guards all attacks with 3 or more crossover allies on the team. He also launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack when there's an enemy whose name includes Goku. He can also transform from the 5th turn, I believe it is. So this is just a guaranteed transformation. Not much you can do about it. Now, he is stacking infinitely, though, in that time. So just keep that in mind, that you can build his attack quite easily within that, especially if you build him with additionals. Now, moving on to his transform state, he's now recovering 40% HP, and from after that, he gets 15% HP every single turn. Now, he gets Key 4, attack defense 200% on transformation and an additional 150% when attacking. He's raising his attack and defense 150%. Now, the greater your HP, the stronger that is, and he has guaranteed guard. He launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack if there's an enemy whose name includes Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Now, we did talk about this before. There's really not too many places you can activate that, but it is there and it's nice to have. If we ever get a boss like that, we'll definitely be able to take care of it. So on his super attack, he is raising attack and defense for 1 turn. So that additional attack, if he's able to get it, just makes him that much powerful. And the fact that he's stacking in his previous form, right, makes him really, really good. That means he can hit some pretty high numbers. I've seen him as high as like 27 mil. It's kind of crazy how high he can actually get. Like, he's got a pretty high ceiling. So both of these units are really, really good. For Dragon Ball Heroes units, they're some of the best we've ever had. And honestly, if you were to just try like, hey, I'm going to throw 150 stones at this banner, then, you know, I would say for these 2 characters alone, it's worth it, right? It should be known that Heroes units typically want some dupes in them, but I mean, as a standalone character, I think even at 55%, these guys are going to be really, really good. But of course, they are not alone. So right now we've got 1 in the category for summon for the characters. They are that good. But who else is on the banner with them? We have the Limit Breaker for Broly. We have the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta. We've got the Dark King Fu, and then the Awakenings for, well, we'll have their SSRs, and then you can awaken them, the Golden Metal Cooler and the Modified Janemba. So, I mean, the banner itself this year, I feel like they're not bad. Broly's a bit disappointing, but like this guy, he can be all right. Golden Metal Cooler is really good. Modified Janemba's all right. So like compared to last year, where like all 4 Heroes units released at the time, just about every unit on that banner was a hit, right? So it's pretty the whole banner in its entirety, maybe not on that level, but still, it is a guaranteed featured banner. So if you pull this banner, right, you're pulling Vegito or Broly or Rose or Vegeta or Fu or Cooler. Like, one of these guys is going to be in your multi because it is a guaranteed featured multi. And to add on to that, right, if we look at previous crossover summons, right, including what is guaranteed featured, there's also a chance you could pull one of these guys unfeatured within that same multi. So any of the previous units, right? So if you're somebody who missed last year's units, there's a chance you could pull them in the unfeatured pool. It's not a high chance, but it is there, right? I think we talked about this in a previous video. It's a 3% chance to pull one of those guys. So honestly, for a guaranteed featured banner, if you were to throw a couple of multis at it, I would say it's pretty worth it because you are guaranteed to walk away with something, right? In 3 multis, you are guaranteed to walk away with 3 units. So honestly, I do think it is worth it. Even if you were just trying to go for the Vegito, you'll be able to fill out at least half a team for him. Like if you summon and at least picked up the Broly, you've now got at least one other character you can run them with, especially with the Vegito, right? Because with the Vegito, he can be run on like Giant 8 power. If you've got the new Super Saiyan 4 Goku from the Tanabata celebration, and you've got other Giant 8 power units to run on that team, he's solid, right? He's going to be working well there. So honestly, we've got 1 in the category for summon for the characters. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give it another 1 for the banner, right? With the banner being guaranteed featured, I really think that helps add value to the banner as a whole. So we got 2 summons for the banner. So now we need to look at what lies ahead for our final recommendation. So we already know that coming up next, it's in the download from the previous global data download. We have the untranslated assets for the Dokkan Festival Super Trunks. He is most likely the next candidate for the December Dokkan Fest. So he'll be like the first 2 weeks in December before we move into the part 2 there, before we move into the Christmas campaign. So good chance he's going to be the next one. Nothing too great on his banner other than Trunks himself. It is the return of Super 17, but I mean, just know that, you know, while I am a huge Trunks fan and I would personally, go in on this banner, as a whole, this banner isn't that valuable for most players. So you're not missing much in that realm if you do decide to summon on that. There is also the chance that it could be the Dokkan Fest in Androids in December. They do like to do Tournament of Power in December on Global Dokkan, so there's a chance they could shift them, but I don't think that's very likely, to be completely honest. But just know that if this ends up being the case, this is actually a very valuable banner. While the androids are still limited to Universal Survival Saga in their own category of universe reps, right? As that team begins to fill out over the course of the next year, which I have a feeling it's going to, they're going to get that much better. And hey, they are a buff for Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, and that's something worth considering. But the banner will also include the return of Kale, God Goku, and the Kid Goku. So it's definitely a very valuable banner. So something to keep in mind, that one of these two can be coming next, although it's probably most likely the Trunks. After them, halfway through the month, we should get the Rising Dragon Carnival, our double rates for the year. Omega Shenron should be the double rates if we follow the trend. It's possible they could send him to January, like they did with Janemba in the year that we got Gogeta in November. But that means they would have to make another LR a double rates, and it's possible we could be getting another shared double rates like we did with the year with Super Saiyan Gohan. However, I don't think that that's likely. So good chance that this guy is coming next, and his banner's all right. It does return. Well, we already had his return, but it'll be his second return at that point. But the Battle of Wits 200%. Plan to eradicate Sans Goku. Omega, his introduction here is on the banner. Now, there is a slight possibility that since this guy already returned, we could see the return of Kai Goku and Int Kid Gohan here instead, as their first carnival return, as they have not yet returned on Global. If they don't return now, then the only other upper opportunity is the next anniversary, which means Global will have gone an entire year without their return. So there is that possibility. So, I mean, if you're somebody interested in some of them, if you don't have the coins, keep in mind that this is a double rates banner. Most players should probably skip this banner, to be completely honest, right? Omega right now still doesn't have a team to be all that useful. So, you know, you aren't missing much there again. And then finally, the last thing we're going to see in terms of summons, we will have the Tanabata banner, which will return the, well, actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and pull it up here so we can show you. Before we get this step-up banner, we will actually have this banner here. Let's get here, Tanabata campaign, and where's the banner? We've talked about this banner a number of times, but we will have the Tanabata Dokkan Festival, which should be dropping on Christmas time, and it will return the Goku if you didn't manage to pick him up, and the 8-year anniversary LRs. Most people should be utilizing this banner as a red coin fodder banner, basically red coin these two guys here and then be on your way. But if you're somebody who missed out entirely on these guys and this guy, it might be a good opportunity to summon, although with, you know, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3, 18 featured. It could be kind of hard to get what you want here, so just keep that in mind. But otherwise, the last thing we're going to see for the year is the New Year step up. We'll do a more in-depth analysis of this banner as it gets closer, but more or less know that you're going to be getting an Easy A category lead here on this step, a guaranteed yellow coin Easy A LR here, and then a 2022 Dokkan Fest lead here, and then this will be our 2023 Dokkan Fest leads, and then our 2023 yellow coin LR. So 2022, 2023. So the newest LR on here is going to be AGL Boo. Maybe if we're lucky, no, actually, no, he is the newest one. So AGL Boo will be the newest unit on here. So know that if you're somebody who needs to summon on this to kind of fill out your box, right, you'll want to save those 200 stones for this banner. So something to keep in mind, as it can be a very valuable banner. Otherwise, by the time we hit New Year, more than likely can expect some sort of new dual Dokkan Fest that'll be shared between two versions. Usually when they add a new shared celebration, they don't take it away, so there's a good chance that this year, like with Gohan and Piccolo last year, we will see another shared New Year's celebration on both Global and JP Dokkan. So it's something worth considering. So in terms of what lies ahead, to be completely honest, up until that possible shared New Year's celebration, there's not a whole lot that's really pressing for your stones, unless Omega or Trunks is like one of your big characters, or you're somebody who missed out on Goku or the 8-year LR. So to be completely honest, knowing that that's all that lies ahead, if you're a player who's been playing for a while and aren't missing that much, then yeah, even what lies ahead probably shouldn't hold you back from summoning on the banner for these Dragon Ball Heroes units. So honestly, given all of that information, how good this year's headliners are, the fact that, you know, there's only 7 this year on the banner, and most of them are pretty good, and there's nothing lying too far ahead that's really pressing for stones, as well as this being a guaranteed featured banner, this is a pretty good summon, in my opinion. This is one of my few that is going to get a unanimous yes, you should summon. Unless, of course, Heroes isn't your thing, which I totally understand. But it's worth considering. I think, personally, it is worth it, especially after seeing what this Vegito can do on the crossover and on the Giant 8-power team. So it's something worth considering. So to be completely honest, if you're anything over 500 stones, I'd say, hey, go for it. 250 to 300 stones, you are probably walking away with one of the 2 headliner units within that much. So something worth noting there. So guys, that is the video. That is whether or not I think you should summon for the upcoming Super Dragon Ball Heroes Crossover summon. It is a guaranteed featured, and there are only 7 featured units. I think it is definitely worth your coin. So anyways, guys, that is the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know, will you be summoning for Super Dragon Ball Heroes? Let me know in the comments down below. I know it's not everybody's thing, but for those of you that it is, let me know. How many stones are you throwing down on this banner? I would love to hear in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.